The transfer portal giveth, and the transfer portal taketh away. And in this situation, unfortunately, it's taken away. As former 4-star corner Josiah Wagner is hitting the portal. And does it hurt? Yeah. Does it suck? I'm going to be honest. Yeah. He was definitely a bright and upcoming player. But does this mean something bad for the Sooners? Absolutely not. I'll explain that and what this means for the actual room on the other side a little bit later. But let's talk about why I think Josiah may have had to hit the portal for himself and in the betterment of his career. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. All right, let's talk about Josiah Wagner and why I feel like he decided to hit the portal. As y'all know, when I talked about Josiah when he committed initially, thought he was a dog, thought he was a dude. Still is. He's all of that. Really good player, young, small, and I'm thinking that may be kind of one of the problems. He came in here about 5'10", about 170, out of Washington. Spanaway, Washington, to be exact. Played at Spanaway Lake. Like I said, he was a consensus composite 4-star and top about 350 player in the country. And watching him play overall, I thought that Josiah was going to be something, right? He came into camp when he first, as an early enrollee, was lighting it up. One of the best bright stars out there, and the coverage on him that everyone was raving, right? Even Brent Venables talked about him in some of his pressers. There was a very much excitement about him going on, but there was one issue. There was like stinging injuries he was dealing with little injuries here and there the entire time or whatnot. Last season, he did play in 7 games. He got about, 76 snaps in, and he had double-digit snaps in Iowa State, West Virginia, as well as TCU, where he played the most snaps at 29. So he played 7 games last season. He appeared in them. Finished the season at his measurables at 5'11", about 177, so he didn't put on a lot of weight. But overall, he did okay as a freshman. Freshmen still have a lot of learning to do or whatnot, but he was definitely somebody that we saw as a rising star in that cornerback room. Well, unfortunate thing is, if you're injured and you can't play, it's kind of hard to contribute, right? I remember there was even rumors of him potentially being the starting corner going into last season because of how good he was in camp. Gentry Williams ended up being the starter instead, and Gentry blew it up, 3 interceptions on the season, and he's definitely locked down that side as the starting cornerback. And so we figured Josiah, okay, will work his way into the 2 deep. Well, like I said, if he's been dealing with these injuries or whatnot, then you bring in players like a Des Malone, got yourself a veteran presence there. Jaden Rowe looks healthy at 6'2", about 240, running a 10.3800. So he's fast and he's a big dude. Stood next to him. He's a ginormous human being. And then you add in a player that's coming in, Jeremiah Newcomb out of Arizona. He'll be here soon. And so that cornerback room was starting to get fuller and fuller. We even got transfer Jocelyn Malaska that came in from Utah, the former Bethany High School player. Oklahoma was starting to get really deep. I think that was probably the deepest room we have at the school right now, right? Is that and wide receiver. We have so many players on both those positions that unfortunately losing a player is okay. But I saw so much potential out of Josiah, and I thought that he was going to be a beast for us long term. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. So make sure y'all hop in the comments. Let the boy know. Holla at him. Say thank him for coming. Thank him for pulling up in Norman. Wish him the best, because no ill will whatsoever with him. It sucks to lose him, but at the same time, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. And we got to get that 120 number by May 1st. And so I anticipate a little bit more movement over the next couple of days too. But let's talk about the current room, the way it's made up, and why the concern isn't really there with him leaving. Now, granted, I told y'all he's young. So Josiah Wagner was a freshman coming in. He was going to be a true sophomore next season. But we're picking up Des Malone at corner, the big corner from Fresno State. He plays out there. They said that he's elite in the zone coverage, in which something we struggled with last year is people being able to anticipate and understand the zone. He's doing it. And then you got Jocelyn Malaska. So Joe Malaska, the corner that played at Bethany, coming from Utah. He initially got here. We anticipated him becoming as like a PWO plus, just to, get him here at the school when he hit the portal. He may be one that's moving up into the scholarship realm, right? Even though he's a local player and tuition-wise, he's a lot cheaper than most. PWO plus will be okay, but man, he can ball. And just him coming in with his sheer size of 6'1", just about 180, right? You got a much bigger dude that can hit. He likes to hit, and at the same time, he's larger in size, so his corner. So you had a 6'1" him with the rest of his corner room. Let me tell you how big the corner room is. Your shortest corner probably is going to be Eli Bowen, who comes in. Now, the thing about him is he's thick, right? He's shorter, so he's coming in at about 5'9", but he also weighs like 100 and like almost 90 pounds, right? So he's a thick dude, and, like his brother Peyton, they're pretty sizey guys. And then you go down with everybody else in that DB room of a Des Malone, who is about 6 foot, about 200 pounds. Malaska at 6'1", about 180, actually closer to about 190. So you got big size with him. You got Jaden Rowe, who I told you about 6'2", almost like 240, but he's probably about 230. But he's a very nice, 6'2", like I say, about 230. He's a big dude, and he's fast, which is huge for what we've got going on. Then Woody Washington's making his return. Gentry Williams is still there. You still got Jacoby Johnson, who's at 6'2". You got Makari Vickers. So size-wise, we've got a lot of bigger corners, 6'1", 6'2" dudes. I mean, you got Eli, like I said, roughly at about 5'9", 5'10", but you got a lot of big, thicker dudes and tall guys. And so nothing against Josiah. It's just, the size wasn't holding up to the way that he plays, because he hits. Josiah's infamous for being a hitter. And at that size, you just got to hope you don't get yourself hurt hitting bigger dudes like running backs and some of the bigger wide receivers. Putting him in the slot, solid. But you still got Kendall Dobie out there running out there at the slot. You've got a really nice size. I mean, Eli and Kendall are probably your two smallest dudes, and Kendall Dobie's a little thick dude. The cornerback room, I believe, is just fine without, we have the space to let a person go here or there because we have no choice. But when you look at the growth opportunity with a Jacoby Johnson, who's an athletic freak, Makari Vickers, who's pretty much a shutdown. Seatbelt is known for shutting folks down and going down that entire line from everybody else. I think we'll be fine long term. It just sucks losing a young talent like that. But also Jeremiah Newcomb's on his way from Arizona. So it's not like we're not bringing in additional players, right? And with Newcomb coming in, you also got Devon Jordan, the Tulsa boy from Union. He's about 5'11", and he's a thicker kid as well. So overall, the bigger thing for Oklahoma is, sure, sucks to lose a young player like Wagner, but I think the room is pretty solid, and I think we'll be just fine for now. We'll just continue to add to it and go from there. So what y'all think? Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. How y'all feeling about this cornerback room here at Oklahoma? Think we'll be fine? Anybody that you are excited about seeing next season? Love to hear from y'all. You made it this far, like the content. Please hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. Love for you to join us here. College football fans, talking OU football, college football in general, and SEC football, having a blast. All right. If you didn't see where we were talking about Tyler Guyton going in the draft, check out that video over here because Bruce Feldman gave us some love. So, got to enjoy it, right? We'll talk soon. Peace.